All right, what is up? Good morning. Welcome back to the best place on the internet. My name is Forrest. I invest in stuff. It's Friday. We're going to do a giveaway. We're going to wrap up the trading week. We're getting a little closer to my set being put together. Will this charge my phone? Dang it. It's not going to charge my phone. My phone is dying. Who do we got in the chat? Go ahead and sound off if you're here. Say what's up. Let's get after it. I'm actually going to get my headphones. Hold up. Pablo, good morning. Let's see.
You change the default window, everything opens up.
Let's see. My sound stopped working. Output. There we go. All right. Fixed. Don't have to listen to my thoughts this entire stream, which is useful. All right, so we had a nice little extension. You can see here I did a little measured move. If you want to understand how to do a measured move, guys, I'll teach you. Okay. So the first thing that I do for measured moves is I find whenever a wave happens, right, I want to find where the candle is not broken by the previous candle. So I always start my measuring tool, which is this one right here. I go to the top of the formation. Okay, this was before we actually started making the move higher. Okay, I hit a Control C, Control V to get the exact same size. Then I put it at the bottom of the shape of the consolidation, right? That gives me my measured move. That's how I do it on every single time frame. That's how I get these very precise, specific extensions that work every time. So that's the key. That is the magic. You go ahead and throw this in the Discord. We won't put the doghouse on stream. See what's going on in the Discord. There is a free stream going on in the Discord. Put that in there for anybody who wants to take a peek. Boom. Solo streaming in the Discord. Next Friday, I'll set everything up to where we can all hear each other at the same time, but it'll take me 20 minutes to figure that out. And I'm only streaming for an hour, so let's just get into it. So we've got our measure move higher, right? That's our target higher. ES, you can see, is a little bit different, and that's just because of the shape of the auction. You could also just eyeball this. I do think that ES is going to move past the 67.95. Okay, this is just what it looks like with the actual measured move. We have this little shelf here, this node here that built. If we add on the visible range volume profile on NQ, we have these levels here. So downside target 1 and 2 are actually the same. This target 1 was already hit. We can get rid of that. That was the upside target. That was the previous all-time highs. So this is going to be our measure move higher, okay, slash target 1. So what we have there. And chilling. So today, let's add our session VP. In our uptrend, previous session VAL has kind of been a good place to long. Okay, so yesterday's value area low is down here at 25,037. We also have the POC right there. On ES, very similarly, okay, previous day VAL down here at 67.54, and then the POC node. We already dipped into this node, by the way, so we could just have a very bullish immediate open here in the morning. We just had data. What is the criteria you use to determine if you should do a measured move? Sure, good question. Let me... So the measured move, anytime I see like a bull flag, or they're really just flags, right? Let's just call it that. Any type of wave, and if we have an engulfing candle like this, okay, on the 4 hour, and then it starts to consolidate. So this is a very obvious move. The market made a move, then it started to consolidate, and it's probably going to make another move. And so the question is, how do we accurately extend where the market's going to move to, right? And so that is how it's done. It's really just looking for a move in the market, say this move here, and then you would measure to figure out what the next wave is going to be. Now, what's important about it is you could do it like right here is like a staircase pattern, okay? Like right here, like we're going down the stairs. You could do it on those, but it's not really relevant because you can just kind of eyeball and see where it's going to go. You can eyeball any of these moves, to be honest, but it's really, really useful. Like, for example, if you look at the swing targets that I had, right, how I was able to snipe, okay, these swing targets that were, 1,800 points higher is using measured moves on like the monthly and the weekly. Okay, we go to the weekly right here. Okay, this is how we ended up with this move here. So this was a measured move off of these waves that we have here on the higher time frames. Okay, so that's how we end up with that 26,571 target higher. Is with those measured moves. So that is how it's done. We do have a pretty bullish open. We're building volume higher. We've had pretty green Fridays for the past few Fridays, I feel like. Pretty easy to validate that if you go back and look. But yeah, pretty green market. Still in an uptrend. OD Trade, good morning. Daryl, good morning. Quad, good morning. Welcome back. We'll do the giveaway here in a second. Daryl, I'm pretty sure I owe you an Apex account. I think you won an account when you weren't on again. So I'll get that back to you. Get that back to you. I'm not signed in to SoundCloud. Why am I not signed in to anything? Computer is wigging out. I got here like super early to like rewire my desk because I need to like get my camera into the right spot. So I have a vary pole right there. What I'm gonna do is eventually I have my camera plugged right into my computer. Instead is I'm going to put it into a video mixer, and then I'm going to do a multicam setup for you guys. Get real spiffy with it. With some of my older cameras I have lying around. So that'll be fun. I want to do a top-down shot right here, which would be cool for just doing anything. It's going to rig this office out to the max. But right now, let's add our session VP on NQ. We'll stay on the 1 hour. You can see that ES has this very bullish, I want to say bullish, this is a red candle, but big bottom wick. So these bottom wicks have had immediate follow-ons. Okay, I mentioned this on Monday's stream. Okay, these big bottom wicks Typically, on NQ, or not typically, but historically, we've seen these get retested. We also get like a 50 fib retest, but we don't get like these 80 or 90% retests as nearly as much anymore, right? We get these immediate follow-ons on these bottom wicks. Okay, let's go to the 4 hour on NQ. Okay, and these uptrend bottom wicks, look at the follow-on from these bottom wicks. It's immediate. Okay, so especially if you get a bottom wick into a shelf, liquidity shelf, right? Obviously use the volume profile. Really good long signal. And your stop, right, is really easy to find out based off what I just said. Okay, if I'm assuming we're getting immediate follow-on, I could be super, super tight with my risk and say, all right, I'm assuming we're not going to do even a 50% retest of this wick, or I put my stop at the bottom of the candle, right? Assuming it's not going to sweep that candle. But if your thesis, wow, my voice is cracked. If your thesis is that it's going to do this immediate follow-on like it has done, right? Down, down, down. Then you just put your wick here, or your stop there. Let's see how this candle closes here in a few minutes. Make sure if you're not in the Discord, go check it out. Solo's in there right now. He's streaming. Probably the best trader I've ever met. Still getting better. Met him when he just started trading, basically. He's definitely the fastest learning or developing trader I've ever met. A bunch of other people in the Discord as well. They're all great. Some of them are here. Limitless Lifestyle, what is up? Oh, looks like I put a sim trade on. So I put a sim long on to see if we hit this target yesterday at the highs. So let's see if this hits this today, or this is going to close in 6 minutes, technically. I was in a long in my personal account up to this high here, and then I closed that, and that's when I put on the sim long. So the sim long was for me to see if I closed my long too early, right? But we did do this liquidity grab first. So I closed my long at this 25,180, assuming we do this dip. And I put this on last night to see if we get that immediate extension. It didn't continue, right? The data obviously reclaimed this imbalance a little bit. So, but we'll just leave this on just to see if we do hit this target eventually. But that's why I put it on. It wasn't just to see if we hit the trade. It was really about the timing. Hold up, guys. I got to respond to my business partner real quick. Cool. Nick. What's up, Nick? What are you doing? Let's put a stop loss on this thing. Put it at the bottom of the candle. How would you guys feel if I just one day traded 20 Apex accounts and just YOLO'd all of them? Would that be entertaining? Would that be entertaining? Do you want me to do that for you guys? Because I'll freaking do it. I'll do it. I'll tell you guys right now. Whoa, whoa. Black screen. Woo! I'll do it. That's what I was trying to do. Instead, I gave you guys a black screen of death. That's about what I do on discounts. I don't condone gambling, but if I was going to gamble, I'd do it with quarters and not with $20 bills. That's all I'm saying. So, you know? But again, I will never, ever, 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 ever on principle recommend people YOLO accounts and flip accounts to try to get some pass. Do people do it? Yes. Do people do it and then go on to trade those accounts normally? Yes. Most people can't do that. And the people who need advice certainly don't need to hear that as a recommendation. But I can tell you for a fact that people do it. And some people make it work. But I would not... will not ever get on here and be like, you should buy 20 accounts, you should go long on half, go short on the other half, and then try to change your behavior once you pass. Best to take a week, tops, still a heightened risk, but better that way. Thought it was an ad pop-up? Oh, that's funny. So we're getting some pretty decent divergence here. The 4 hours obviously about to close. For anybody who missed it, this was a long that I put on last night to see if we get an immediate extension, and I just logged back in and saw that it was still on. I had a long in my personal that I closed at the high, right? And I wanted to see if I was wrong about my thesis of it doing this, which I wasn't, which is why this trade, the sim trade, is red right now. So the best place in this uptrend, based off previous behavior, is to look for a long either at this naked POC or the previous session VAL. Okay, that's kind of has been my go-to longing pattern so far. Also, the settlement open continuation. This was a pretty good long here. Assuming we're going to get this. It is Friday. The weekly is closing. We've got to keep that in mind. Otherwise, you're basically fighting to pay the activation fee. Yeah. I mean, you know, you guys are adults, probably. Do what you want with your money, but why is my phone not charging? Probably because I didn't plug that in the power. Wow. Wow, Forrest. Wow, Forrest. Well, just lost 5,000 sim bucks. Let's see what we got here. My sim account. It's only at 100,600,000 now. I'm only up 600,000 in this account. Dang it. Dang it. Yo, I'm listening to some freaking bangers. You guys have no idea. I bought last night a lot of stuff for the business. I bought 3 iPads. I bought 2 Roadcasters. So I spent about 4 G's. I'll probably spend another 4 G's today, which is cool. I'm going to try and make some of that back. I've had a good week, though, overall. Not going to lie to you guys. I haven't been trading a lot, but I've been getting more chart time recently, I will say, which is nice. So that chart time is really nice because I've just been so busy in the business. So it's nice to like get back into the zone. You look at E-mini NASDAQ. This is NQ right here. Let's look at UPS. United Parcel Service. Still moving. Let's see if we get this rejection off of this level. So this was a long that I called randomly on stream one day. 82.13. I think I put this in the Discord. Can't remember. I want to see if this holds this price. Obviously, if you took it right at this line, I called this days before it actually hit this price too, guys, because I'm freaking cracked. We want to see if this actually holds or if it breaks. Okay, you can see that it is squeezing into this level. If we flip the chart, they're building value here. So if this doesn't hold this, this is gonna crash to the floor substantially. Let's go to the 1 month on this. You can see that this is a previous pivot here, and then there's this next auction down here. If it races across this auction, I mean, we're gonna go for like 61. Okay, obviously there's a divot here. We go for 66, 61 before this thing finally finds support. Not good for those investors, to say the least. You can see that the last time it actually reversed off of this level, we had a very high volume doji on the monthly, which we don't have. We actually have a little bottom wick on the monthly. I mean, there's increasing volume coming into this level. I might take some more leaps off of that. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Next month was an inside candle. If October closes at 92, hold on. I might actually make a shit ton of money off of this. I need to think about this for a second. You guys can't hear what I'm hearing, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Check if October closes above this shelf. I want to see an immediate continuation off this level. Engulfing candle. Look for calls around 120 strike. So I'll look for a little swing play there. See if we get that. I might ladder into some more positions here, but I'll probably look for... I don't really need to mark my chart on this because I know if I see this chart again, I'll think the same thing, but put a little arrow right there. So what I'm looking for here basically is, do we get an engulfing candle, higher volume? It's the beginning of October. This is a monthly chart. Across this auction here up to 89.17, and I'll probably take leaps up to like 120 strike. Right, and I'll probably also grab some around 110, 105, so that those go in the money. It'll be a nice little appreciation play there. Otherwise, that thing's gonna crash down to 66 or whatever I said it was. Morning, Forrest. Today's NFP canceled. Sounds spooky for me. Non-farm payroll. Yeah, so my unfiltered thoughts on them not releasing data means it's not good. Okay, any administration in history that has started obfuscating or messing with numbers, it's just not good. If you're doing a good job, you're gonna print that on a sign and be like, everybody look at how good of a job I'm doing. There's zero reason not to publish numbers. And if you're doing a bad job, you should also publish the numbers. Generally speaking, what transparency does for the markets is it allows investors, especially in a free market, to make calculated business risk. Okay, it's a short version, it's a long version of saying people can decide what to do. Okay, there's money can be made in a bad market by individuals, right? Obviously, like your average Joe is gonna have a bad time, like when unemployment increases, like that's bad overall. But obviously, we know because of the derivatives markets and things like that, that you can make money when things crash. But it's hard to do that if you don't have data, okay? People run away from untransparent markets, okay? That's why the Russian market sucks. That's why America traditionally has been such a good market, is because we just put everything out there. Is it full of corruption? Of course. But it's transparently corrupt, okay? So it's a scary time, in my opinion, because people aren't going to want to take risk in a market that they can't see through. These hedge funds, though, they already know it all with proprietary research and satellite images of what people eat on breakfast. Hedge funds, like, yes and no. What the heck? Get my chart back. Not every hedge fund is sophisticated. Like, I could start a hedge fund, guys. I'm not capping. Like, I could go and start a hedge fund. It wouldn't be the largest hedge fund. All a hedge fund means is that you have some fund. It's a legal matter, right? It just depends on how you legally formed your entity. Okay, and there's rules around that, and you get to call yourself a hedge fund, right? And you're speculating in the markets. Hedge funds go out of business every day, okay? Because the guy running it is an idiot, right? Or a bad speculator. So there are some companies, some very large entities, probably closer tied to like big banks and stuff like that, who have a lot of inside knowledge. But even then, it doesn't necessarily mean that they like have it all figured out. The reason that most big companies become too large to fail is simply because they have so many assets under management, and we know that assets grow at like 8 to 10% per year. So it's like if I have $1 billion and I do nothing, the next year I'm gonna have $1 billion and 8%, and I'm gonna look like a genius, and that's gonna keep growing exponentially because that's what money does. Any ideas for E-mini NASDAQ? Are you talking about NQ? What? Am I having a brain fart right now? What do you mean E-mini NASDAQ? Right now, the only things I'm looking at are overnight low, previous session VAL is a good place to long. Okay, gotcha. So previous session in the uptrend, previous session VAL is a good place to long. Obviously overnight low. We want to see how they traverse this previous session's auction though. Okay, right here on, let's check the 1 hour. Yes, let's go to the 2 hour. 2 hour did close a doji. It's a green doji that barely swept this high. So yeah, we have this auction down here, and we could go for 67.54, which is previous session VAL. But really, there's this node right here. Okay, there's this little auction right here. These nodes are participation. Another way of thinking of participation is that people are positioned here. So when they're positioned here, LOL A7MD, what it does, good morning. Thought Turbulence, good morning. No, good morning. Nick, good morning. Romeo GQ, good morning. Who else did I miss? Limitless Lifestyle, I think I said good morning to you. Welcome back to the stream. But yeah, POC, previous session VAL, are the first places that you want to long. Let me get the giveaway form ready for you guys. For those of you who don't know, I do giveaways every week. Why? Well, because I can. Because I can. Do whatever I want. We'll do this one a little bit different. We're going to put this one in the chat. This should be the giveaway form link. Yep. Go ahead, enter in. Don't cheat. 4 of y'all are going to win My Funded Futures 50K accounts. And one of you, just one, is going to win an Apex Trader Funding 50K account as well. If you want a virtual private server, by the way, if you're somebody who wants to copy trade across firms, check out Quant VPS. They're the best virtual private server solution. Let me grab my link for you guys there, give you some discounts on Quant VPS. I actually have a few virtual private servers. I use one of them actually to run an LLM on. This is cheap compute. And then the other ones I trade on as well. But they're great tools. The thing I love about virtual private servers is I can snapshot them. Just snapshot the whole computer. And so instead of needing to like save stuff individually, I just save the whole machine, and if I ever mess it up, I just roll that thing back. Just roll it back. Here is the Quant VPS link, by the way. Good luck to the winner. I'm here to learn. China time sucks. Yeah. So you can see here we retested that previous POC. We're getting an immediate wick off of it. See if that holds. Let's see if that wick holds. VAL retest. So upside on NQ again. This is measure move target 1 higher. We want to watch how the VP develops. Okay, VP is short for volume profile. I trade the volume profile. You're gonna hear me talk about it all the time if you're new here. Okay, my system is called the VPE, volume profile edges. But what's important about the volume profile and why it's the only indicator I use now, I used to use all the things, okay, is it just tells me where people are, okay? And what I realized eventually was like, just like me, these hedge funds, the banks, everybody is playing around their position. Trading is purely psychological, right? That's why these overnight lows, previous day highs, all of those are the best places to take trades because people have to make decisions around their positions, okay? And what the volume profile shows you is where a lot of people are positioned. For example, okay, right here, I know that there's a lot of people positioned here. So I know that when the market gets here, inevitably, the market's not going to go up in a straight line forever, even if we come back here in 3 months. These players, okay, especially because this is an index, right? When all the underlying equities approach whatever the participation is around this cumulative set of prices, they'll have to make a decision. And that's why I trade the volume profile. So we still look at price action and things like that. That's important, right? But in general, the best trades, okay, like the 1,000-point swing trades that I get, or even just like the 100-pointers, 400-pointers, it's just because we're just waiting for the market to approach where a lot of people are positioned. Really, really simple. Really, really simple system. And if you're new here and you're like, man, I'm not sure how that works, think about yourself, right? You've got your little prop account, 50K account. It's got $2,500 of drawdown, so you really have a $2,500 account. Okay, it's not a $50,000 account. No one's giving you $50,000 to trade, by the way. Okay, they all call them 50, 100. Like, you have a $2,500 account. It's not a lot. And that's why when you risk one NQ in your $2,500 account, you start freaking out whenever the market goes against your position. And just like you start freaking out, the hedge fund who's got 50 NQ or 100 NQ or 1 million shares of Apple or 1 million calls, whatever it is, when the market approaches their position, they have the exact same feeling you have. They start freaking out. Okay? And they have to make a decision. Same thing on the greed side. Okay? People are driven by fear and greed. And that is the underlying foundation for my system, which is just trading around where most people are positioned. Are you looking for that? Are you looking for the candle blast through POC? Seems it's holding to yesterday's POC at the moment. Volume is building up this. That's the best explanation I've heard so far, to be honest. It doesn't have to blast through the POC, no. So you have to look at these as areas of participation. Okay, which is where a little bit of like technicals will always come into play, some standard pattern analysis. The general rule and what I teach, right, for the people who've taken my course or are in the Discord is we use the POC as a place to take a trade. Okay. Realistically, this entire node is up for grabs. Okay. So if I'm thinking about where could the market possibly retest, right? We'll go back in time a little bit. On the 2 hour, we have it's not a normal distribution, but this node, there's a lot of participation here. The POC gives us a place to take a trade. Realistically though, the end of this participation is where I would put my stop. Depending on the shape of the volume profile, that's gonna adjust, right? If I have a P shape, a D shape, okay, how skewed it is gonna affect that, as well as this distribution on the right. But we use the POC as a place, a statistical place to take a trade. Sometimes you'll see me opt to say, I'm gonna wait for the VAL, or I'm just gonna take it here, depending on how price action is looking. If we have a very vertical chart, I might know, hey, it's very unlikely that it's gonna traverse this entire auction. But really good trades, the reason why cleaning this up is useful is because we know people are positioned here. And if we go and clean up all these players, the market's going to move into price discovery without needing to come back and retest, right? Because it's already cleaned everybody up. The risk you have on any trades whenever you leave participation open that's pretty close by is that the market could always come back. You end up with those tight like range days. So there's a lot of things you have to think about, like the day of the week. All of that matters. Time of the month also matters, right? So just like all traders, I'm looking for confluences and things like that. But fundamentally, the two questions we ask ourselves every day, put it in the chat, guys, if you've been here for a while. What are the two questions we ask ourselves every single day in the markets? Thank you for the explanation. I'll join your program once make some cash, and it seems you make a game plan before entering the session. Yeah, I've been trading for about 10 years, so I have a very simple approach to the market, which unfortunately makes me, pretty boring, I guess. That's what I've been told. I'm just here to make money, though. I'm trying to be as entertaining as possible. Paolo's got it. Where is the liquidity and how do we get there? The only two questions that matter. I'm pretty sure I've got it on this chart. If I go to the monthly, it's not there. All right, let's see if it's on this one. Damn, I thought I had it written somewhere. But he's right. Every single day, before you even think about trading, you need to ask yourself, what liquidity matters and how do we get there? The market's always seeking liquidity until you're at all-time highs and you're in pure price discovery. Okay, let's write it down. Let's write it down together. Let's get out our pens and papers. What liquidity matters? How do we get there? Now, the how do we get there is where the price action and all that comes into play. The reason I trade on like the 1 hour and the 4 hour is that it gets rid of a lot of the mess that a lot of people, run into on like the 5 minutes, right? I used to trade the 5-minute chart. You can go look at my old YouTube videos. Okay, I used to trade the 5, 15. I was a big 15-minute trader. Okay, I used to only look at the 15-minute. I used to look at the 7-minute. 7-minute chart was the time frame I like to trade. Okay, and I would take a lot more trades. The problem is, and I could tell you, it's not really a problem. What I learned, what I discovered after thousands of hours of trading is that I would make not just more money. I would make orders of magnitudes more money by ignoring all of this, just looking at the 4 hour and just waiting for setups on the slower time frame. Okay? It's kind of like trying to figure out where a ship is going by like looking at all the movements of all of the crew versus just like getting a drone and just looking at the entire ship. You know what I mean? You could figure out which way the ship is going if you interviewed the entire crew constantly, but then you're talking like hundreds of people. That's what it's like trading on the lower time frames. We just look at where the boat's going. Like the boat's going over there. That wasn't the best analogy. I just made it up. But you guys get what I mean. So if we focus on what liquidity matters, we can intuit which price action is going to get us there on both sides, right? So every day I always have an up target and a down target. That's not miraculous. A lot of people do that, right? But you'll notice about me is that I have very few levels. I don't have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 extension. It's like one level higher that I care about, one level lower that I care about. And if it doesn't get to those levels, it's probably an inside day, which means the day is out of play for me. And that's key. Okay? It doesn't mean that like I couldn't have shorted or longed or did all, I just don't care. And I don't care because I've done the math, or on my own P&L at least, and I've seen that I make more money by taking less trades across bigger, like, the other day I did 450 points in a day. It's like, I don't care how good of a scalper you are. Some people don't do 450 points in a week, in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need to do that much. Liquidity is just stops, right? Good question, wrong. Liquidity is not stops, okay? So there's a little primer on volume profile. So the volume profile is a histogram, okay? It's a bar chart, just like we have volume on the bottom of the chart. Okay, the volume on the bottom of the chart tells us how many people are participating right now, okay? So if we go to a low time frame, we'll do this just for the sake of example. From the time period of 10 a.m. to 10:05, we had 11.65 thousand transactions. Okay, that's the volume in this time period. Okay, if I told you 1,000 people bought Toyota Camrys at 10 o'clock, that's pretty useful, right? 1,000 people bought Toyota Camrys at 10 o'clock. So if you wanted a chance to find, just liquidity in general, you might show up tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Okay, if I said 1,000 people bought Toyota Camrys for $25,076, okay, that's different information. Especially if I said no one bought Toyota Camrys for $24,000. So instead of just looking at how many people showed up at a time, what I want to know is how many people transacted at a price. Okay, that's the liquidity that I care about because I'm trying to trade against those people. I want to sell a Camry or I want to buy a Camry, right? And so what's really useful for me as a trader is to know how many people are buying things at certain prices, how many people are selling things at certain prices, so that I can trade around them. If I know that 1,000 people bought Camrys for $25,000 and I want to sell 100, well, then I can just undercut the market by like, I don't know, $100. I can go for 24,900, right? Whatever it is. And that's all we're doing as traders. I also know that if a bunch of people are positioned here or are getting it for 25,072 and I try to sell mine for, 26,000 and there's nobody there, it's going to be really hard to sell that. You know what I mean? So that's what we talk about when we talk about liquidity. Liquidity is about positions. It's about volume at a price. Most people are looking at volume at a moment in time. I care about volume at prices because I want to know where people are positioned. Okay, think about Michael Burry. Okay, one of the most prolific traders of our time. Okay, he's known for making a ton of money when the market crashed. Okay, he was in drawdown for a very, 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 very large amount of time. Now his trade worked out. The thing is, he was not the only person, I guarantee you, who took that trade. Other people who we don't know of because they failed and disappeared into obscurity also took that trade. Very, very likely. Okay? So what's key is that because of your positioning, Michael Burry's positioning compared to other people's positioning in the same trade, the same thesis, so he was able to hold on, whereas others were either margin called, break even, whatever it is, right? And if you want to trade against people, like Michael Burry did, or anybody, your thesis is not enough. Okay, your position as you execute your thesis against other people's position is key. Okay, it's key. My thesis might be that a lot of people want to buy Toyota Camrys, which they do, but I need to know where the market is in order to play my thesis effectively. I have to. Okay, so volume just shows you areas of interest, not indication of direction. 100%. Just joined your Discord. I don't check it much, but I'll try to make these live sessions. Please do, man. I'm trying to grow the live stream. I'm super passionate about teaching people useful things about trading. Okay, I learned really in isolation. I've been trading for about 10 years. I've been on YouTube for about 2. So the way that I arrived at this is just through just being insane, actually. There's definitely something wrong with me. But yeah, just testing ideas. One of the things you'll hear me say is journaling, okay? Without giving my whole life story, okay, I was an athlete, okay? A previous time in my life, I was trying to be an Olympic sprinter, okay? I got to run against some of the fastest people in the world, and I learned early on that if you want to be exceptional, you have to be exceptional, okay? You got to wake up early. You got to write shit down. You got to eat well. You got to track how many breaths you take, okay? One of the things people don't realize, I was a 400-meter hurdler, sprinter. You count every single step that it takes for you to get out of the blocks for the first hurdle. We would measure the distance between my steps for the first 3 steps out of the blocks to make sure that you're maximizing your efficiency out of the blocks, right? You're trying to squeeze performance. And a lot of people sit down and they're like, hey, I want to be a day trader. I want to do one of the hardest things that I could ever do. And they don't write anything down. They don't track their performance. They don't plan. Okay, they hope and they pray. And we see how that works in schools. Okay? Hoping and praying ain't enough. You're going to have to do something. Okay? So, I'm big on tracking our performance. Can't improve what you don't measure. There is no money created in markets. It's a zero-sum game. Generally speaking, yeah. Trading is a zero-sum. There's somebody on every side of the trade. The one thing is that we do keep printing more money. Burry is short housing again. He might be. Click 56, good morning. JP, good morning. US Prakash, good morning. SMK Prabhu, good morning. Niche Dictionary, good morning. I think I got JP. Welcome back to the best place on the internet, everybody. Which journal site do you use? TradeZella. I prefer to use Notion. So if you go to the link, I think it's still in my Stand store. I need to update all my links, but on the bottom of the stream where it says stand.store/trading with Forrest, There's a link to a free journal template that I created. I would recommend, if you use TradeZella or TraderSync to do your performance tracking, that's fine. You need to sit down with yourself and like slow down. You got to slow down. Take 30 minutes and say, let's say an example. Let's say I made $1,000 yesterday. Why did my thesis work? How did I feel when I woke up? Did I get enough rest? What were all of the things that allowed me to have a good day? Because what I want to do is I want to repeat as many of my good behaviors as possible, and I want to eliminate as many of my bad behaviors as possible. Let's do the other side. I lost $1,000 yesterday. Okay. Did I eat? Did I sleep well? Did I get a fight with my spouse or my partner? My kids pissing me off. They're being crazy. I'm stressed out at work. Okay? You want to try to eliminate as many variables. And what will happen is, and I can tell you guys that I did this a lot, is you'll do your little journaling activities and you'll be like, I probably shouldn't trade today because every time I get in a fight with my significant other and I don't eat, I lose money. And that's the annoying thing about trading, is because it's so psychological. Like, those aren't things that people talk about. They're like, oh, you just got to trade the whatever pattern. It's like, bro, if you can't focus because you're thinking about some argument, or you didn't eat, or you didn't sleep, you are not going to do well. So you have to have your edge. You have to think of yourself as a biological machine, and you as a machine are going to be affected by like real life bullshit, right? And so doing daily affirmations is really important. Okay. I said mine, I'll say mine again. I am the personification of confidence. My dreams are not dreams to me. They are the purpose of my existence, and I live them daily. I have said that thousands of times, which is why I can just say it. But I used to stand in front of the mirror, have a piece of paper taped to the mirror, and I have a bunch of affirmations I would say to myself, and I look myself in the eyes. So you have to be crazy. You literally have to be crazy, guys, if you want to make a lot of money from trading. But yeah, write it down. I'm a fan of journaling the slow way, because it's going to really reinforce in your brain what's going on. And that's how you end up with conviction, right? If you want to get some of the crazy trades, like making money on futures is cool. Okay. Most of my money to this day is made trading options, right? Like the gamma trades that I take. Futures are a linear product. So you make more money by leveraging up, which is fine. But you could take a thesis like yesterday's this move. If you had taken this with calls, you're going to make exponentially more money than you would trading with futures with the same capital stack, which is important. Okay. So eventually all that comes together, but you can only do that if you don't blow up your account, and not blowing up your account requires impulse control, etc., etc. Parvati, good morning. Taking a break in between trades is what allows me to cool off during my session. Yeah, just don't trade. If you're in a bad mood trading, just stop trading for the day. Just get up. It's not worth it, I'm telling you. It literally, like today, if that's you today, if you're sitting down, you lost money, you feel aggravated, you feel negative, just like there's nothing that's gonna happen today that matters. And I can tell you for a fact, because you probably don't even remember what happened last Tuesday. Okay, like it's so insignificant. Even if it's a crazy day, like you know how many crazy days have happened in the market? You probably don't, because you haven't been tracking it. That's the point. It does not matter. Let's take a break. All right, let's do this giveaway. I'm going to copy the link one more time. Okay. Give you guys a second to sign up. We're going to do this giveaway. We're going to get out of here. Funny how psychology could be harder to master than the actual strategy. Of course. It's the hardest thing, man. It is the hardest thing. Everybody knows you should buy low and sell high, but how many people short the lows and buy the highs? Like, I'll say it again. Everybody Every single person alive knows that you should buy low and sell high, right? You know that. You know that. How many times have you longed the highs and shorted the lows and then immediately went red? It's all psychology. Trading is 99.9999999% psychology, which is why, unfortunately, yes, there are people who are super smart, like quant traders, but the best quant who with bad impulse control is going to be a losing trader. And your average Joe who's with mediocre intelligence, but amazing self-awareness and self-control is going to be a way better trader. He's just not going to be doing something crazy, but it doesn't matter. All right. Let's do the giveaway. I got to jump off after this. We're going to throw these into Claude. We'll do it live. I don't know if you guys can even see this, but remove the duplicates from this list and pick 4 names at random. I understand you can't be truly random. That's okay. Just pick 4 people. Last time I asked Claude to do this, it was like, I can't be truly random. And I was like, bro, I understand how computers work. Today's winners. After removing the duplicates, we've got in first place Daryl 6313. The second winner is DAHC Currency. Our third winner is going to be MK Futures, and the last one is going to be Chart Killer. Congratulations on your win. Good job. I'm going to email this to the MFF team right now, and you will get your 50K accounts soon. Let's do giveaway winners. October 3rd. Thanks. Whoops, that is the wrong 2 filled. Giveaway winners. And let's do to the MFF team. Cool. Get this out of here. Ugh. Where's my chart? There it is. Good job, guys. Thanks for participating. Bounce off the POC. Ain't that crazy, man? It's almost like I might know something. I may have figured something out. ES is approaching this target 67.95. So after seeking out liquidity, look how beautiful this shelf is here, by the way. Okay, after seeking out liquidity, okay, and taking these participants out of the game, it then made its move. Okay, I will say, lastly, this is the last thing that I want you guys to hear from me. Each and every one of you is a bundle of potential. Okay, you have what it takes. You can get it done. Okay, but just like fireworks, all that potential energy won't go anywhere unless you light the fuse. Lighting the fuse is taking action in your life that's actually going to get you closer to your potential, right? You got to maximize your potential, right? Time is always being spent. It's always getting used up. We are all given this beautiful currency of life, right? And some amount of time in it. So make sure today, by the end of today, that you spend just a little bit of it pouring into your cup. Obviously, you might have work, you have a family, you have other people that you love and that you have to take care of and that you love to pour into, but you got to pour into yourself for them and for you, because you don't exist just for other people, Okay, I guarantee you that you were put here for you. You can become the trader you always wanted to be. I promise you. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel. I will see you guys on Monday. My name is Forrest. I invest in stuff you